Hey, welcome to week 4 of the Inclusive Classroom Back to School Challenge. I absolutely loved seeing your ideas for fostering learner well-being in the classroom last week. The important thing is to start off small and avoid implementing too many new ideas at once. That could have the opposite effect and leave students unsure of what all these new systems are for and how to use them, adding to the stress rather than lowering it. Now we've got everything we need in our classroom and we've put systems in place to help our learners feel positive, it's time to think about the materials. You probably use a course book and perhaps you had no say in the matter. If you do use a course book, that's great because it will definitely help you save lots of time preparing materials for your lessons. Although I do think it's good to supplement a course book sometimes and of course do more hands-on activities, especially with very young learners. But it's always worth looking through your course book before you start each unit and think about whether everything in it is appropriate for your particular students in your context. Many course books are designed for international markets and sometimes they can be a bit, how can I put it, bland? No offence to any course book writers or publishers, I am actually a course book writer myself. But sometimes because the activities are designed for children all over the world, some of them may bear little relation to our learners' real lives. And that's something that I think we need to work on. And this is also our job as teachers. We know our students and we know what they need. Let's remember the 4 values for this challenge: belonging, adapting, community, and kindness. In order to feel like they belong, students must feel represented. If a lesson in your book is all about snowy activities like making snowmen and snowball fights, but it has never snowed where your students live, this lesson won't have the same effect as for a child in somewhere like Canada or Norway. They may appear to enjoy it. After all, they will recognise the situation from films or TV, but they might find it hard to relate to the lesson. And in any case, what's the point in teaching them this vocabulary as they're not really likely to need it? So we need to adapt these lessons, that's the second value, or substitute them with material with a slightly different focus. Ideally, the images in your book will show diversity in terms of ethnicity, disability, gender, age, body type, and so on. But they probably won't have any same-sex families or non-binary children in them. So if you want to be inclusive in terms of representation, you might need to source your own images and create some of your own materials, or bring in a range of diverse storybooks. Diversity in classroom materials is one thing we should consider, but the other, and this is what today's task will really focus on, is multimodality and flexibility. In order to make sure our activities are inclusive, we need to present them in a range of formats. We all know that the learning styles theory is no longer considered valid, but we do know that multimodality, using different methods and formats of presenting information, is much more effective than just one. So if you only have one way in which you present your vocabulary, it won't be as effective as if you use 2 or 3 different methods. There are so many ways we can do this. The most common option is using flashcards, but we can also use realia, mime or TPR, a song, a story, a video, and more. Your coursebook may do this already. It may present the items in a large image with audio and then include them in a song or a comic. This allows for repetition so that the children come across the vocabulary several times. But one of my favourite ways of being more inclusive is to provide students with choice. In many teacher training courses, we learn that certain activities take place in lockstep with all the students doing the same thing at the same time. And then other activities, usually the communicative ones, are done in pairs or small groups. But it doesn't have to be like this. Why can't some students read the story while others make a picture dictionary? For some students, reading a story might be really challenging. Perhaps they prefer to listen to it instead. I know we usually play the audio along with the story, but perhaps that is just distracting to other students who prefer to read the words on the page at their own pace. My point is that students have different preferences and skills, and I think we should start to let them make their own decisions about how they want to learn. So on to the task for today. You're going to think of something that you usually do when you're teaching a new language point. This could be vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, or it could be a skill such as asking and answering questions. Think about what you do when you present this and then what you ask your students to do to practice it. Then I want you to think of at least 2 alternative ways of presenting and practicing it so that you can A, use multimodal presentation, and B, offer a choice of practice activities. So your task is to 1, think of something that you usually do to teach a new language point. How do you do it? Make a list of the steps. And then 2, come up with 2 alternative ways of presenting and practicing the language. And say whether you will give students a choice or not and why. I'm really looking forward to reading your comments, and I'll see you next week for the final part of the challenge.